Hello record people. In a few days I'm leaving for the Netherlands to the big record fair in Den Bosch. But I wanted to do a quick video where I show some of my latest finds during this autumn. Just to get them out of the way so I can fully focus on what I get in Den Bosch and do a video about that when I get home. So we will go there on Thursday. And we will come back on Sunday. So it's going to be 4 days down in Den Bosch where we're just going to dig for records, meet up with great like-minded record collectors from all around the world and, have a couple of days off from work and from family and from everyday life just to live this like vinyl fantasy. I have been saving up money since the summer for this trip. I have been selling off records from my collection, so now I feel like I have a healthy bunch of euros that I can bring down there to buy new records. I don't really have a plan for the trip, what I want to buy, what I want to find, because my experience is that often when you have a plan, you never find these records. So I'm gonna go down there with an open mind. I know that I have a lot of records that I want. So I'm just gonna see what I can find and I'm gonna strike when I have the opportunity. So in this video I'm just gonna show you some random purchases. It's gonna be some Swedish psych. There are some 80s psych and 90s. It's gonna be some krautrock. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag of records. So let's dig into this bunch of records that I have for you today. So I'm gonna start up with a classic Swedish LP by Tages. The band's name is Tages and the album is called Studio. And this is their 1967 psychedelic pop LP that they did. Here you can see the band in the studio. This LP is often called like the Swedish Sgt. Pepper, and it has this really post-Pepper kind of 1967 psych pop sound. Think of like Hollis or maybe Procol Harum or even Pretty Things in parts. So it's like filled with this beautiful studio trickery, amazing harmony vocals, imaginative arrangements and everything that they did back in the days so well. Came in a gatefold. Looks like this, and as you can see, this is a really beautiful copy, shiny laminated cover, and I found it on the flea market for quite a good price actually. And just like Sgt. Pepper, it came out on yellow black Parlophone labels, but this is a Swedish pressing. It only came out in Sweden in 1967. So I was really glad to find this. I'm not a big collector of Swedish music in general, but I'm lately beginning to pick up LPs like this, the classic ones. And Tages is of course one of the big pop groups from the 60s in Sweden. But this is their like masterpiece LP, I would say. Great psych pop LP. So I'm really glad to found this. And if you dig like 1967 psych pop sounds a la Zombies or Beatles, or this is an LP that you should check out. Amazing that they could produce something like this in Sweden in 67. And a couple of songs are recorded in London. I'm not sure if it's Abbey Road or they went to London to record some of the songs, so they were heavily inspired by Beatles and all the bands that were going on at that time.
Sing with love is all that you need to be happy. Sing with love is all that you need to be happy. Ever since I was a newborn boy, I've been raised to live my life in joy. anything that doesn't please me.
Yeah, the next one is another Swedish LP by a band called Contact. And this is their 1970 LP called Nobody Wants to Be 16. And I bought this in the summer, quite cheap, because it's not the best copy. It has a name up here and stuff like that. But this is quite a rare LP. It's the first LP by this band Contact. Prior to this they had recorded like a psychedelic single. But this is their first like full-length LP. All sung in English. Later on they became this more folk rock band that had political lyrics in Swedish, but this is their first LP with English lyrics, and it's like filled with psychedelic, folk, rock and pop, and it's a nice mix of those genres. And it's actually produced by Kim Fowley, who was living in Sweden at the time and producing some really cool underground records in Sweden. So this was released on MNW, that is the music network of Vaxholm in Sweden, one of the progressive labels that started in '69 or so, that were supposed to release the Swedish underground music. And this is one of those like heavy vinyl 1970s press. Typical cover. Very thin, where you put the LP in a little pocket here. You put the LP in here. There's another picture of the band. I should also mention that one of the main guys in the band, Ted Ström, he recently passed away just a few days ago, or a week ago. So rest in peace, Ted, and thanks for all the music. I'm gonna play one of my favorites from this LP, Conquest of the Red Rose, that has a really cool electric harpsichord keyboard and really nice beat. I absolutely love this song.
You wander rather slowly through the dim and weary streets. You're feeling kinda lonely as the darkness you meet. You've been away for such a long time and your day has just begun. In your pocket there's but a dime and you can't seem to find the sun. The conquest of the red rose has come to a burned out end. You're telling yourself it wasn't you who chose the way your life ought to spend.
When I did my tripping in the 80s video where I showed some psychedelic music from the 80s, I got a lot of comments about that I didn't show any Dukes of the Stratosphear, you know, XTC's band that they did to do some like 60s psychedelic music, but it came in the mid 80s. And I didn't have these records, but I've heard about them, but I got so many comments that people said you should get them. I found them and I have gotten both of their records. And this is the first one, 25 o'clock, that came out in 1985. And this is like a psychedelic masterpiece. It has this really 1967-68 vibe, but of course with a more modern production. But not like bad 80s production. It still sounds really cool and fresh, and they have like mellotrons and they have tape effects and everything that they used back in '67 they are doing here. So it's really fantastic LP. The Mole of the Ministry is a brilliant song, and so it was cool to find this. Came out on Virgin Records, these labels. Classic design by Roger Dean. So cool to find this in a local store here in Stockholm. couple of weeks ago, this pop-up store here in Stockholm, just for a weekend. A record store had bought a collection, big collection from like a serious collector with tons of great LPs. And they had this like 2-day pop-up in Stockholm where they invited people like me to come and dig. And of course I went there. I filmed a little bit from my visit there. So first I had a beautiful walk through Stockholm. So here you can see my streets where I walk and where I live. A beautiful autumn morning, and passed through the Katarina Church. There's a really beautiful park there, and up to the like really old parts of Stockholm, where it's like a little bit like walking in a museum, and you have this lovely view over Stockholm from up there, up on a mountain. Anyway, they have this like pop-up store there. A bunch of people were waiting in line to get in. I flipped through the records and they had some really cool stuff there. They had many records that I already have, and I didn't want to spend too much because I wanted to save my money for Den Bosch. But I picked up a couple of records there anyway. And yes, I found the second Dukes of Stratosphear called Sonic Psunspot. And this one came out in 1987 in this gatefold cover. And this time it was the UK press that had labels that looked like this. This is it's still a psych pop LP, but it has more polished sounds, and some songs are more like great guitar pop music, like Vanishing Girls is an absolutely classic, like Children of the Nuggets type music. So now I have both Dukes of Stratosphear releases that they did in the 80s. So thanks everyone for the comments and recommending me music. I love to get recommendations from you guys. Another LP that I got in the pop-up store was Faust, and their Faust tape LP. It looks like this, with this kind of psychedelic imagery on the back. And Faust, of course, krautrock band from Germany that put out some really excellent experimental kraut music in the early 70s. And this LP is actually pretty hard to find here in Sweden, but I guess it's easier to find it in the UK because it's sold quite well. And the story behind this LP is that for some reason they managed to get a deal with Virgin Records to put out this and sell it for the price of a single. So when they released it, they sold like 50 or 60,000 copies of this, because people thought that it could get an LP for cheap. And when they got home and played it, I guess they were kind of surprised, because this LP is not your mainstream listening. It has a lot of like sound collages and very fragmented pieces of music and noise. So it's a very like artsy record, avant-garde, experimental kind of music. But between all these noises and sound collage pieces, there are some songs here and there, and these songs are absolutely fantastic. I mean, I'm not a big collector of like avant-garde or experimental music or noise music like this, but the songs that they put out here, more traditional songs, are fantastic. Came out on Virgin with these labels. This is the UK pressing, and as you can see, they only put like side 1 and side 2, so no track listing on this one. But it's basically like 15 pieces of music on each side, so it's kind of hard to queue up the songs that you want to hear. However, if you look at streaming, they have put names to all the songs so you can more easily find the tracks you want to hear on streaming. But back in the days when you played this LP, you had to put the needle down to see where the music were.
It's a warming color in your mind to be. It's only a garden made of sandfish. Marshmallows jumping round and smiling quiet. Inside a stone of cream there is a lamp which bring our minds together, press them tight.
So at this pop-up store I also found Faust 4, and I'm not going to talk too much about it because I already have this in my collection, but I found a second copy for a nice price, a UK original. This is my favorite Faust record, and of course it's with a long song called Krautrock that kind of defines the sound of kraut music, at least what I think. And it has some great songs as well, as The Sad Skinhead and Jennifer is two great songs. Anyway, I found that as well. I'm gonna compare it with mine and keep the best copy. The other one I'm gonna sell on. There's like this autumn break from school here in Sweden, so me and the family, we went to Copenhagen for a couple of days during that break. And when we were in Copenhagen, I of course had to visit some record stores. So I went to one of their most famous record stores, Sound Station, to check it out and see if I could find something. And it was a nice store, a really big one, friendly staff. I talked to the guy there and he was really nice. But it was a really expensive store, and it was kind of hard to look through the records because most of the records were in shelves on the wall. So it was really hard to flip through everything, and I didn't have the whole day to dig through there. So I just browsed what was new in stock and bought a few records. And one of the records that I found there was New Riverhead by Bevis Frond. You know, the UK underground psych band from 80s and the 90s. This came in a gatefold cover, look like this. And Bevis Frond is basically just one guy called Nick Salomon. I guess there were more in the band, but he's like the main guy, the singer and the songwriter. And he started to release some psychedelic underground indie rock in the 80s. He did a really, really British version of that. So it has a really British vibe, all his songs, and very like English. And I just love that. And many of the songs on his LPs in general are like long fussed out jams and rock songs. But he has also a pop sensibility, so he could write really great pop songs. And on this LP we have a song called He Be a Diamond that I first heard about when Teenage Fanclub did a cover of it in the 90s. And Teenage Fanclub, of course, is one of my favorite bands from the 90s. So I found it through them, and I absolutely love this song. One of my favorite power pop songs from the 90s. And this is a UK original from 1991. Came out on his own labels that looks like this. Woronzow Records. It's a double LP, and that's a shame because I'm not a big fan of 2 LP sets. But that's a typically 90s thing to, you know, they made music for CD, so they put too many songs on an LP. So when they had to press it on vinyl, they had to do double disc. And I should probably do a video about 90s double LPs that should be a single LP. But that's a totally different story. Anyway, I was glad to find Bevis Frond, mainly because I wanted this song, but I have to explore the rest of the album because I think there are some more cool tracks on this LP.
He says you look beautiful, and he swears by all the saints that if he had his chance again, he'd be a diamond.
Another LP that I bought in Copenhagen was the debut from Palace Brothers. That is Will Oldham's first band. This one came out in 1993. And it's called There's No One That Will Take Care of You. That's No One That Will Take Care of You. And this is a UK press that came out on Big Cat Records. The UK press looks like this. It also came with insert, looks like this. You know, I was a big Will Oldham fan in the late 90s, you know, around the I See a Darkness LP. I just loved that, and at that time I searched down many of his Palace Music records and listened what he did in the 90s, but in the early 2000s I got kind of tired of his sound, because to be honest, it sounds very much like the same record over and over again. And so I couldn't like buy everything that he put out. So I just have a few like cherry-picked records from his catalog that I really like. And this is one of them, but I didn't have it. I had it on CD, I think, before I got rid of all my CD. And this is the first one he did, and it's interesting because on this LP he got help from many members from the band Slint. They all came from Louisville, you know, Slint and David Pajo and Will Oldham, and they were like friends from school and they played in different bands together. So he has some really interesting musicians backing him here. But this is a really great LP and I'm glad that I found it.
When he calls on me tonight, will I rise and have to greet him? Oh Lord, are you in need? He will ask of me to think of some grounds on which to meet him. Oh Lord, are you?
Last but not least, I'm gonna show a new record from this year, and I rarely buy new music, but from time to time when something interesting comes out I grab it. And this one is by a band called Sloan from Canada, and they are Canada's finest indie rock power pop kind of band. And this one came out like a month ago or something. Sloan has been around since the early 90s. They started out as more of a indie rock band that turned towards more power pop during the 90s, and since then they had put out some excellent power pop music up until this day. So this is just like a month old and I got it. This guy is called Jay Ferguson, and he has a vinyl community channel where he puts out some excellent videos where he shows records from his collection, and he has tons of great stories that he shares there. So if you haven't subscribed to Jay's channel, I will put a link down in the description, so go over there and subscribe to Jay. His channel is one of the best. This LP is filled with great pop songs, like well-crafted pop songs, not with your like traditional harmonies. They often have really great vocals, harmony vocals, and they have really like sophisticated harmonies, if you know what I mean. This one came out on a yellow or gold record on the Yep Rock Records, and they had a worldwide distribution, so I could buy this from a store here in Sweden. I especially like Jay's songs, of course. He is like a master of putting these weird harmonies together so that they make perfectly sense and sounds like they are absolutely natural, but they are quite complicated in my opinion. And I'm gonna play a little song called Congratulations.
Imagination should be paramount. The state of the subject is key. Evaluation gives the rough amount, depending on its scarcity. Do you have some questions? Do you have any recollection? Ooh, do you have more questions? What's the state of their relation? Death, divorce, no explanation.
So, these were my recent vinyl finds, a mixed bag of cool records that I wanted to share with you before I go to the big record fair in Den Bosch, because I'm gonna clear my head from everything that I have and just focus on what I can find there. And it's gonna be a blast. I know it. We're gonna be there for 4 days to dig for records, and it's the world's biggest record fair. I will of course film on my trip there and film on the fair and everything and do a report video. So be sure to subscribe to this channel to get a notification when I post that video. Maybe I'll do it in 2 parts. It's gonna be a long video, I'm not sure. We'll see about that. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, and until next time, be sure to buy records and be cool and stay in school and fight fascism and all that stuff. Peace out.